know where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We got to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag. BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more, and even NFL preseason. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use promo code BELIEVE for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Hey guys, welcome to Chief Concerns. This is our first ever Monday morning tight end. I know it's the afternoon, but we're going with a Monday morning tight end with former Chiefs tight end Justyn Dunn. JD, I know you did come on the show after the post game on Thursday, but what were your takeaways? I know a lot of Chiefs fans have gotten over it a little bit. Still people are pissed off, but they've gotten over a decent amount. But how are you feeling about what you saw on Thursday?
How am I feeling about what I saw? Well, I tell you this. I know it's the first game of the season. I never go into knee-jerk reactions. I never have. Even when I was playing, you got to kind of take assessment of everything and look at it. Of course, the loss, because it's an L, it looks bad, right? And you can see all the things that's glaring that guys could have done differently. To say, oh man, this could have won the game. This could have won the game. And the reality is this: you got a full team. That's how it works. And everybody it's a team game. It's a team sport. So not one person loses the game for the entire team. It just doesn't happen that way. And so I think that's very important to say that because I've seen a lot of people just kind of put everything on Kadarius Toney, and not saying that he didn't have a hand in it. I think everybody had a hand in it. To be honest with you, everybody could have done something a little bit different. You could ask every single player on the Chiefs, what could he have done different in this game? And everybody would have an answer. I don't think not one person would be like, well, I mean, I played a perfect game. I couldn't have done anything better than what I did. Not one guy would say that. As a professional, there's always something more that you can do. It's always room for improvement. You always know there's a play that you could have missed or you could have made that you feel like could determine the outcome of the game. But that's the reason you have guys like that have this mindset. You do. You have a mindset that you're a winner, you're a champion. Being Super Bowl champions, you're saying we have enough, we could get this thing done, and they just fell short.
Yeah, and that's the thing about football. That's the thing we love about football. Yeah, there's 22 guys, offense and defense, who can control the outcome of the game. It's not one guy. You can point to specific plays, but there's still a lot that goes into all this stuff. And yeah, you're right. A lot of people try to pretty much place the blame on Toney. And then you also have on the other side of things, people said, "Oh yeah, look how good our defense did without Chris Jones. We don't need him. Don't sign him. Trade him." So you have a lot of that going around. And people just now are also saying, I think, what's his name? Mike Evans could be a guy that we can go after, even though Bucs said they're not trading him. And if you just look at that, the guy wants a lot of money for an extension. We didn't want to get DeAndre Hopkins because we don't want to pay him, and we're having trouble paying Chris Jones right now. So it's one of those things you just can't just say, "Oh, we're going to go with Mike Evans. That'll solve the problem." No, because there's also you have to look at the playbook and how hard that is to kind of comprehend the middle of the season for a guy coming in who didn't have a training camp. You got to think about that, take that into account, and also just the money aspect of things. We're not going to get a guy for a rental. We're not doing that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think it's what it is. It's the money part of it. We were already in a dispute with Chris Jones to try to sign him to a long-term deal. Then bring Mike Evans, and Mike's going through it with them, Tampa Bay. But there is really a reality there about having older guys on the team. Especially with this young group of receivers, and I think it's one of the reasons. Me and you, we made this point a lot about D-Hop being in. talking about D-Hop was an experienced guy that could come in who could teach these young guys how to be wide receivers, great professionals in this game, how to deal with maybe some of these ups and downs that they may see. And that's significant, especially when you have a room like that where you're looking at the oldest guy in the room is MVS, you know? And so it's very important how these guys respond to, you know, some of the problems and issues that they had. But yeah, look, it's one game. These guys are going to get better. And look, I'm going to make this point too. The way that we've seen the young guys develop in the secondary last year, and everybody was, oh my gosh, look how bad they are. Why did Spags put in this position? These guys are just going to grow. I look at it maybe like we get around about week 4. These guys should be humming. I think they will. But yeah, something that needs to be said about veteran presence, no doubt about it. You know, and I think that's why we were so high on D-Hop or getting a veteran receiver in here that can really help with the toolage and the developing these guys to you know, deal with, you know, the NFL. And a lot of it, what I seen on Thursday was impatience. Maybe route running was not as crisp as I thought it would be. Antsy. These guys, you know, a lot of guys' first NFL game. And it showed. So I think if they just kind of settle down, you know, take stock into what it is that they want to do out there on the field, you know, these guys, they're going to be okay. But we're going to have growing pains. That's the reality of it. Like I said, a secondary development to, you know, this great secondary in postseason. And so I think these guys are going to develop. We just got to give them time to develop, to make these mistakes, right?
Yeah. And if you look back to what Brett Veach said shortly after training camp was over and after all the cuts, he talked about Justyn Ross and Rashee Rice, how they're going to have specific packages, but I see them kind of getting more acclimated into the offense second half of the season. So not just specific packages, but second half of the season kind of getting more growth and development. So like, I mean, even these guys, are the young guys, it's going to take some time for these guys to get really fully immersed in the offense. And then for people to expect that week 1 right out the gate, you know, it's a lot to be said. I mean, to expect these young guys to just come out right out the gate and continue what they were doing in preseason.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot to expect, and it's even big to expect when we talked about KT not really having any type of preseason games and getting healthy, you know. And I'm gonna make this point. When I watched him in practice, I know everybody was showing like, oh man, look at KT, he's ready to get back. He looked like he was laboring a little bit on that leg. I know it's because I watch how I play. I'm watching how guys' gaits, how they move it around, and he seems like a guy who, if you're not fully healthy, you can doubt yourself. You can have some doubt in like your route running. You can, it can be a bigger issue. You may try to get it out of your mind, which you can. I'm not saying you can't, but also too, you'll start feeling, especially you start, you know, dropping balls and whatnot. That leg starting to get a little bit more heavier. You may have a little bit more pain. There might be some pain still, you know, lingering in that. That's why we were talking about maybe week number 2 might have been the ideal time for him to come back. But it's good, I guess, this game, get it out of the way. He's got some work in that will take care of like the preseason, you know, where, you know, he wasn't involved. You know, maybe this game coming back would be a much better game for him.
Yeah, and also to talk about that, just based on what you saw in some of the clips during practice, but like there was the third and short play where it was the jet motion, the handoff to him.
Yeah,
Looked, I was like, whoa, what is that? It looked like he got re-injured there. He just didn't look right. And Andy Reid actually said today at a press conference that he takes blame for Tony's performance. He mentioned he missed all the training camp, was encouraged by what he saw in practice this past week. I probably didn't put him in the best position. The only way we're going to get him back is by playing him. I think you'll see better as we go down the road from him. So I think he knows that he was kind of rushed back in with Kelce's injury. They were like, you know what, it's going to be a limited snap count, but then Kelce gets injured. It's like, you know what, KT looked pretty good this week. I think we can give him a full go.
Yeah. Well, look, man, hey, that's big on Andy because he knows it. He said it. Everything we just said, we were just talking about that. Because remember, you was asking, you know, do you see him coming back from meniscus? I'm like, listen, I've had a meniscus, you know, and it takes 4 weeks. And even then, he has to get acclimated to the speed of the game. You know, that ball coming off of Patrick, man, look, that speed coming off, he hadn't seen it in a while. Running full speed, catching it in the game. And I'm talking about, man, when you know, preseason, practice is a whole different speed than game speed. It really is. It really is, because everything is all for the marbles. You're going to get hit, you know, you're going to get tackled. And so I think all those things played a part. Andy recognizes that now. we were talking about that before. And so, yeah, maybe they rushed him back. I think they did, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Kelce's injury sped up that process. I think there was like, oh man, he's hurt, he's out this game, but don't worry, we have Tony. And beginning of that game, he wasn't getting full load. And then as the game kind of went on, like, you know what, he's all right. Let's keep him in there. And he pretty much stayed in there after like the third drive of the game. He stayed in there pretty much consistently after that.
Yeah, yeah.
So with this episode with the Monday morning tight end with former Chiefs tight end Justyn Dunn, we're going to go into the grades. So it's the week 1 grade report. We're going to grade this game, and we're going to put it in the shelf. And we're on to week 2, on to Jacksonville after this one. But we're going to go position. JD's graded all positions. So we're going to go position group by position group. And yeah, so JD, let's begin with your first grade report here.
Okay, let me see. Start with this. No. So what I did, man, I started with every position. And, of course, I made some inserts about certain guys in those positions. And so what I'll start with position-wise first is the wide receivers. And so wide receivers, I gave a grade of D+ or C. That's where I graded them. That's what I seen. And a lot of it is the bright spot came with Rashee Rice. Rashee came out there. I think he did a great job catching the football, kind of getting open. He had some bright spots. I think we seen like, oh, wow, okay, here's Rashee Rice getting some catches, getting some targets, which was great for us. It was really good for us. It's very promising going forward. And so that will absolutely make an argument. Hey, these young guys need to get out there and start playing even more, right? Maybe some of these guys that we don't quite trust maybe get out there and play. But also, too, Rashee Rice looked like a rookie. He looked like his timing was off a little bit, running the routes. His routes wasn't as crisp but a lot of that is him being antsy. This is his first NFL football game. So I know there's a lot going in his mind. He's playing in Arrowhead, a full stadium, on Thursday night, everybody's watching. All of that's going through his mind. But he did have a bright spot. Made a touchdown on good spacing in that pass. And also too, so we talked about KT, right? And I said, putting on here, KT looked like he went, like he didn't go through practice, like he went through preseason. And I said that same thing. He just looked like he labored a little bit. Now, one guy I want to kind of talk about is Sky Moore, okay, and where he was for the entire game. And my assessment, and I'm taking a lot of this from what I've seen, and I've just, me playing myself, talking to guys. I know how this is when you're second year. It's almost like there's certain guys that allow themselves to be great. I think Sky Moore hasn't quite freed himself up yet for that. He hadn't quite freed himself up just to play free, go out there, trying to make mistakes, just go out there and just play. I think he's still kind of measured in everything that he's doing, not necessarily getting open. But as soon as he gets to that point where he's able to just open his mind and figure everything out, I think he's going to be a star for us, to be honest with you. But I think he's still kind of trying to fit his role, right? How do I get into this whole fit of things? So he just needs to be comfortable. He just needs to be comfortable, and I think we'll get a lot out of him. And then everybody else was kind of so-so, right? Just so-so in that wide receiver room. Tight end wise, I'm gonna go to the tight ends. This is my guys. I gave these guys a B. That's what I think. I think Noah, man, and Blake Bell, they handled the load for Kelce as much as they could. I think they did a tremendous job. Obviously, there's different skill sets there that they have between Travis. But for what they was able to give out there, I think they did a great job. I really do. Blake Bell did a great job in the space, and it was a great play call. When I watched it, and I looked out, I said, well, wow. And my wife was like, what are you looking at? I said, the space and how they opened it up. Because they end up bringing the running back in motion, pulling him out so the corner could take him. And then they ran 2 wide receivers, taking a linebacker, taking a safety, and Blake Bell just finished right there in the end zone. Perfect. But we'll get on some more work some different time. But we'll talk about these plays. That's what I do. But they look good. The Titans look good. So B for them guys. So now O-line. I gave the O-line a C+. That's what I gave them. I gave them a C+. All right. I think they did a pretty decent job of protecting Pat. Pat had some times where he had a lot of time back there to just kind of pat the ball, move around a little bit in the pocket. And there was some times that, had a little pressure coming at him. We still see some chips. I don't know if people see the chips that the running backs was given, but that's part of the offense. It's how it happens, right? We don't want to get into debate. Oh, how we got Chip more and this and that. Doesn't matter, right? But I think, to be honest with you, in the run game, their blocking needs to be a little bit more pronounced. I didn't like a lot of the footwork out there, and I'm just looking at it. I'm just, me being an O-line coach, tight ends coach, I'm watching the footwork, and I'm looking at them grabbing grass coming off the football. And what ends up happening is, if you pass the ball a lot and you're doing it in preseason training camp, passing the ball a lot, you start to be back on your heels. Okay, you're not digging your cleats in the ground like the insides, and guys that play O-line, they know what I'm talking about, of just grabbing grass, coming out the football, bringing your hips more, right? And that's what you want, coming off the hips. And so there was a lot of things I didn't quite see that those guys did. I think Creed and Trey, man, was kind of indecisive in some of those things. Even, Donovan and Juwan on the outside going to go get the defensive ends, not coming off the football. And we need to see more of that. And especially, and this goes into the bigger part of it, okay, the bigger picture. Anytime we get into third and short, okay, and fourth down and stuff, going for that 1 yard, it's all attitude. It is all drop your cojones attitude coming off the football, hitting somebody in the mouth. That's it, pure and simple, okay? And you can't take anything else from it. That O-line takes pride in that. They do. That's a part of their marker about how good of an offensive line you actually have. It's 3rd and 1, you coming off, you driving somebody off the football. Are you scoring with your guy? Okay, it's all heart. It's also, there's nothing else to it. Either you get the job done or you don't. And so I look at it. We could question the play call because they were questionable. I think Andy would like some of those back, right? I know I seen you we was talking about getting cute on the line. Hey, look, you know what it is? I don't care how cute it is back there behind me, what's going on. O-line, we got to get that yard. We have to. 1 or 2 yards. That's just how it's got to be. Okay, and that's on everybody.
For an O-lineman, though, just a quick question on that, the short yardage play. The big short yardage play that everyone's talking about is the Blake Bell under center. It wasn't a QB sneak. It was a jet sweep by Rashee Rice on 3rd and 1, was it?
Yeah.
For an O-line, you talk about, you kind of want to have establish this kind of mentality, this physical mentality. Mm-hmm. A play that goes east to west when it's 3rd and 1, just get upfield. Is that kind of like something when it's not really establishing kind of this physical mentality if you're going east-west on a jet motion with that Rashee Rice? It's like, it's not really give it to Pacheco and let him get up the field, or even, God forbid, a QB sneak with Mahomes, which we don't do anymore since their Thursday night game a couple years ago. But like, doesn't that kind of gets that mentality when you're calling plays like a halfback dive right up the middle? We're gonna freaking push these guys down the field and get a first down, but instead we're doing a jet sweep.
Doing a jet sweep and trying to get to the outside where your shoulders are not square to the line of scrimmage is very tough. You're basically trying to outrun them to the outside. And so establishing that attitude it's demoralizing to the defense if you just hit them straight in the mouth and come off the football, right? I'd rather hand the ball off to Pacheco or CEH or McKinnon, any of those guys, to get the 1 yard. I really would. And so, the jet sweep may work. You got fast guys, you need a guy who's 4'3", 4'2" to get on the outside, but everybody's got to block well on the outside too. So I think, with Detroit, man, they got some pretty good linebackers after really watching them, how they mirrored and just played. They did a really good job. Then, Hutchinson trying to get outside of him too. So I think that was a bad call. It was a bad call. I think everybody would agree with that. So I think we need to get to the point where we know 3rd and 1, we don't have Sherman no more for the 1 yard with the fullback dive and try to get him around the center. Like we need to establish an attitude that's saying, look, we're going to line up, we're going to bloody your nose for this 1 yard. Okay, we got the big boys up front that can do it. I trust Thuney, I trust Creed, I trust Trey, I trust Donovan, I trust Juwan. Those guys come off the football when you know it. I don't care, get into all fours, come off the football, and so we should be successful. We should be. I don't know why we having such a hard time to figure this out, man. But sometimes you got to just run these things in practice. You just got to practice those things, right, to be good at it. Okay. So I know everybody made a lot of noise about Juwan and his starts and whatnot. I'll say this: I seen it. He was definitely quick on the ball, quick on the snap, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And so The refs didn't call it. So you keep doing it until they call it. That's how it works. Hey, you know what? It ain't holding until they catch you. So if he's able to get away with it, fine. It's the same thing. The rule is, the tackle also where he's sitting back, it's supposed to break the plane of the center. But the same thing. Until you get a warning and the line just says something, don't worry about it. Keep playing. Okay? So you'll do everything to toe the line to where you could get away with it. You'll get a warning. Once they get their warning, it's like, okay, I got it. Okay. All right. Talk to the refs. But if them jokers ain't calling nothing, man, you keep riding with it. Okay? Gives you an advantage. That's fine. I ain't got a problem with it. That's
one thing that's so interesting. We take it for Chiefs fans. You watch the Eagles somewhat, but like Chiefs fans who only watch the Eagles in that Super Bowl game. Mm-hmm. Lane Johnson, very similar to, and I know everyone says, his timing's impeccable. I feel like a lot of those times it was full starts too, but they didn't call it. Instead, he gets praised for what he does. And the one thing I will say, I think I forgot one of the O-line O-lineman gurus on Twitter had mentioned, like, if you look at his if you look at the snap, and I think Brian Balaga also said it. He goes, when I watch it, I actually see the rest of the O-line slow. I actually see Jawan Taylor's getting off the ball like right when it's supposed to. I see everybody else being slow. It's the opposite, where everyone's saying he's full starting. He was saying that he sees the rest of the O-line getting off the ball slow, and Jawan's getting on it right as the snap goes. No, you don't see it that way?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, how you have, 4 of the guys, really 5, the guys snapping the ball too, and the only one that's ahead of it is your right tackle. He's a little quick because he can't see the ball. He can't see it. He's anticipating the snap and whatnot. That's the thing about it, because, you got to look your peripheral and just feel it. And it's timing. It is timing. It is feeling, the snap count. But they ain't catching it. It's fine. Hey, don't say nothing. He's fine. Everything looks good. Everything looks good.
So some of the people had mentioned also, top of him maybe being a little early, his back leg kind of giving the tip of what the play is, because his back leg's constantly moving. His back leg's constantly moving, and I think someone broke it down that he was tipping to the defense what the play was based on how his foot was moving or not moving before the play was going.
You know what? I think he's kind of digging in. Kind of his foot back there may be telling you, yeah, it's going to be pass. All right, but we're a passing team. But I mean, shocker. Okay, gonna pass the ball more than we're gonna run it. True. So I don't think it's he's a telltale sign. Get past him. How about that? Beat him then. All right. If he's gonna tell what it is, what it is. It's gonna be passed. Get past him then. How about that? Okay.
I agree.
So let me go ahead and continue with the grades then, right? Yep. So we got the wide receiver, tight ends, and O-line. Okay. Now we go into the running backs, RBs. And what I gave the RBs a C+. Gave them a C+. Okay. And there were some bright spots by the running backs. They made some yards here and there, and there's some times. Look, CEH is doing everything by the book. I think he's playing safe. I really do. I think everybody brings up like the cut and like, oh, look at this. And could he have cut back? Sure, he could have. He absolutely could have cut back. Does he have an ability to cut back? Yes, he does. So I know always he an elite back. He plays in the NFL. If you're not an elite back, you can't make that cut, then there's something wrong with you. Okay, you shouldn't be back there if you can't make that cut. The question is, does that cut leave you in pain? Because I always know we would tell them, buyers beware. Okay, when buyers beware, meaning when you cut back, that's on you. You trust your ability. That linebacker's mirroring him. I mean, oh my gosh, he did such a great job mirroring what he was doing. But the hole wasn't clean. So he just said, oh, it may not be there, so let me trust my guys. So that's what he did. He went ahead and made a choice to trust the blocking scheme, and it wasn't clean in the blocking scheme. The guys didn't do a good job of doing that, and you can see it. You can watch it. But I think he's kind of playing safe. He's running pretty hard, right? But he's playing within the confines of what the play is, which is fine. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But sometimes you want guys to try to make something happen. We don't know what could have happened. Could he have made a guy miss? It could have, possibly. If he cut back, I don't think, obviously you want to stay with the play. The running back coach might tell you, hey, man, look, stick your nose in there. What did it look like? And he'll tell you, like, coach, you look murky. It wasn't clean in there. So I cut back. We don't ever question, we had to question Priest on what he was doing or any of our running backs. We blocking the scheme. We worried about how we block it. And we'll let those guys play off of what we're doing, Okay, so if he decide to run outside and do all these other different things, we're gonna still try to block. But at a certain point, he knows he's on his own. But I think he's playing safe right now. McKinnon, made the one catch. He dropped the one. I think it was the first time I seen Pat kind of like, oh, okay, like McKinnon's dropping balls. It becomes contagious in a sense, and it's not really expected because he's your solid guy. Look, I love Jet. Jet is always going to be a solid guy to me. I think the game like this, you should have got more looks. Me personally, because it's a guy that you can always hang your hat on. He's always one of those guys that's going to always do the job right and get things done. And so I always like to see Jet more, but that's me. Pacheco came in, tried to give a spark. He hadn't really played it much, hadn't really got a whole lot of contact. And then the spark that he initiated, he was trying to come with. Now, and all of a sudden, he's get this little pull on the hamstring, kind of throws him off a little bit, right? So that's demoralizing to him too. And so I think it was frustration just from the backs trying to get going, but couldn't necessarily get anything going. And a lot of that has to be helped with the O-line, of course, some of the play calling. I know some of the wide zone from coming across the formation is a little tough because you don't get your shoulders north and south, right? East to west, same thing. That play I don't really like. I mean, blockers should still be the same, but whatever. But yeah, so I gave them a C+. They'll be better, no doubt about it. So I don't worry about them at all. So finally we get to the QB, PM15. PM15, I gave, look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be completely honest. It's me and it's how I look at things. But I'm gonna give Pat a B. Give Pat a B. Okay. I think Pat put guys in positions. He was throwing some balls just right on them. The guys should have caught, right? Maybe somebody clean, maybe behind them, but it still hit your hand. You're supposed to catch some things. And then there were some things that Pat did that I think that's the first time I actually see Pat have pressure. See pressure on his face a little bit. Yeah. I ain't really seeing too much of that. And I think when you get into that position, I don't care who you are, you want to do more, okay? And so he was kind of holding the ball a little bit. Pat, like I said, Pat holds the ball longer than everybody else, okay? He does that because he creates plays with his legs, okay? And he's the best at it. But then when you sitting over, you try to let guys get open, okay? You try to let guys get into like that plan. And so you can trust the guy that you've been playing with for a long time, like Travis Kelce, to be where you expect him to be, okay? Or where the defense doesn't expect him to be. You trust that. He's running like the scramble drill, okay? All the rules of how they do the offense, and guys are still trying to learn. They're trying to learn. I'm looking at some of the routes, and they weren't necessarily crisp. It just wasn't. And sometimes you got to give him a clean window about what he's doing. What areas you're running, and so they'll get that. But I think it's the first time I've seen Pat. Maybe the pressure on him third or fourth quarter. Just a little bit. But I give him a B, man. I mean, PM15, man, he's putting the team in a position to get things happening. The 4th and 25, I didn't really understand that. Okay. That's a head scratching to me. All right. It's a head scratching to me for just a number of reasons. Okay. Field position, got time on the clock. You got timeouts. You trust your defense. What is it? Right. So I don't know. It's another time. Okay.
I'll tell you what, even with that 4th and 25, Pat made something happen in that play. I know it was kind of, that ball broke right before it got to Sky. And Sky kind of got confused, not confused, but, broke up his concentration with the guys in front of him. But, they still gave Sky a chance to go get that ball.
Yeah, but the thing is that 4th and 25, man, it puts you in a bad field position. You put the defense in a bad field position. For sure. Yeah. I ain't worried about you throwing the ball up. Shoot, every time you throw the ball in the air, everybody has a chance to go get it. Yeah. Right? But that, to me, hey, man, help your defense out. That's how I look at it. That way, if you keep them down there and they punt, then you got better field position for you coming back offensively. They can run the ball, like they did. Okay, so that was just kind of a question to me, head scratcher. And so that's where I'm at offensively. Now, let me kind of skate through this pretty quickly, okay? So now I'm going to go to defensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball, all right? Defensive side of the ball, I gave a cornerbacks. Started with cornerbacks. Corners, man, I gave him a B. Secondary, I gave him a B, okay? And a lot of that play came through Trent. I think Trent did a great job. I think I told you there's two mindsets here of guys, your second year, okay? And this is the difference where I'm looking at right now, Sky Moore and where he is, and Trent McDuffie and his, okay? Trent McDuffie is he's thinking about becoming the best in his position in the AFC and the NFL. That's what he wants to get at. And so I think he's purposely going into a game, into practice, working to be that. He's playing free. That's the free mindset I'm talking about, okay? Him just coming up here wanting to make plays. Him trying to make challenges to guys, okay? He knows that every opportunity is going to make him better. He's trying to get better, okay? It's going to put his name up there with some of the best in the league. That's what he wants to do. That's his mindset. And I can see that. I can see the difference between somebody playing free and nobody playing, hindering his play on that. All the other guys, man, I thought did a pretty decent job. Maybe at the end, some of those passes, Snead looked rusty. He didn't have the burst to turn and make tackles. I mean, I was like, whoa. The one who was that caught the ball, caught it in the turn was Reynolds. I forgot who it was that caught the ball and took off from Snead. But you could tell, same thing, the rust and the burst wasn't quite there. Just wasn't quite there. And so you could see that the rust was still on him. You could see that. But
it's just like with Tony. It's a guy who missed pretty much all of training camp. He was out with the knee swelling and practice and stuff. And they threw him right away. They're like, you're good to go. You're going to play in this game, and that can hurt or that can help. And in this way, I don't know if it hurt us per se, but like he didn't look right.
No, he didn't look right. And there's of course pockets that you see, like, okay, maybe he doesn't look at 100%. Okay, and I think it was a couple plays, of course, you could see that. But other than that, I think everybody else played pretty solid around them. Linebackers, I gave a C+ and B. I think the linebackers did a pretty good job. I think Willie Gay did actually a superb job. I was like, Willie showed up all over the place, and like dropping back to where he needed to be in zone. Looking over things, making plays, coming in. Like he's another guy, kind of playing free. And so he was getting around the linemen when they were trying to block him. So Gay did a good job. Bolton did a pretty decent job. You always, your middle linebacker, you're always looking at who's holding up in the middle. Okay. And we knew, that presence without Chris was going to be a little difficult. It's going to be a little tough. But other than that, I think he did a decent job. And the other guys on that. But Gay, to me, on the linebacker, is the one that stood out at everybody. D-line. I give the D-line a C+. I gave him a C+. That's why I gave the D-line. And so I think a lot of it had to do with, the lack of pass rush. Of course, obviously Spags doing a great job, which I gave him an A just in game planning, putting guys there, bringing pressure from different angles, different positions, different places. But I gave the solid C+, maybe even a B. They did a pretty decent job. Warrington did a great job. Dannon, Dickerson did a good job. I didn't know we had signed him back. He got back in there, and I'm just like, man, look, there's Dickerson. And so he came out pretty good. And look, I think here's a formula, and I think they're looking at right now. When you have like a bigger defensive end that is good coming off the football in pass rushing, or maybe going against the tackle, why not put him right there in the nose where he can get up underneath the guy like a center or a guard, okay, and let him push back? We've seen that. I look at Minahu, right? We looked in preseason, did the same thing, use them long arms because them jokers at defensive end got long arms. They're gonna stretch it. Stretch Armstrong. And so
fantastic.
Yeah. So he had some push actually. He had some really good push, And it was very promising because I was looking at where that line of scrimmage where they were going to play. Are you going to play on Bolton's on his lap, or are you going to play on the other side, the line of scrimmage? Okay, and I think they did a fair job. Like I said, C+ almost B on that because I think they did get some push. And so, yeah, we want to see more generated rush pressures from the outside, getting some sacks. I think George did a pretty decent job kind of getting some of those pressures. But, yeah, hey, man, when you don't have Chris Jones, some of that pressure, you could tell how that affects other guys. You could tell how it affects the pass rush. Okay, let's just be honest here. People get mad about the contract or whatever, but in that game with the pass rush, you can see how Chris's presence may do some things differently with the other guys around him. Okay, and that's how it's supposed to work. That's how it's supposed to work. So he's one of the best in the business. You know, he could have definitely helped out, no doubt about it. So that's what I got with them.
What do you think about King Felix? Because King Felix almost had two sacks during that game. It was in their end zone too. He almost came up with could have had a safety in that game. But I was really impressed by what we saw from him right out the gate. He was making an impact.
You know what? He looked good. He looked good, and I think he's one of those guys. He's got to figure it out too. Now imagine when Chris comes back. Okay, what it's going to look like then. Okay, and I think he's really going to strive. With our two young guys, George and then and Felix out there. It's going to be scary. It's going to be absolutely scary. Okay, and so I look at that, man. Like, you know, I think it's going to bode well for everybody. So yeah, man. Felix looked good, and you could tell a difference for him where he was in camp or preseason to where he is now. And just getting better, getting healthier, of course. But yeah, he's going to make a solid impact for us. You know, and so I'm looking for him what he's going to do for the next game.
Yeah. No, I agree. And also when week 8 comes, when Amenahu's back, I can't wait for that. That Amenahu also with those guys when everyone's back. And hopefully Jones is back with them.
Yeah.
I wanted to get back to Kadarius Toney for a second before we head out of here. Oh no, you did special teams as well?
Oh, special teams. My forte. Yeah. Special teams, I gave them a C-. So I gave the special teams. Be honest, man. I did not once did I see the return set us up for anything as far as good field position at all. And it was a lack of blocking that was very noticeable to me. Very noticeable. Me being a former special teams coach, this meeting this morning or whenever they had it, I would be pissed. Absolutely pissed. Seriously. You know, because the way I look at it, you play special teams, you know, you're taking a roster spot, okay? We're betting on you. And if you ain't doing your job on special teams, then guess what? Hey, they're going to get rid of you. That's how it works. So you better take this thing serious. If I'm asking you to block this guy, you need to block this guy to the best of your ability, okay? If not, we got guys on practice squads, there's guys we can go get. We can fill that void real easily, real quickly, and it can happen. So it may be better blocking for those guys. I was really looking for, Richie James to make some things happen. It just didn't see it. But like I said, a lot of it had to do with, you know, the blocking. You know, you got to give him something, you know, you can look at. Tommy was good. Weapon. Tommy is, you know, was excellent as ever. So hats off to Tommy. That's the reason they got a C-. Okay, it's because of Tommy. Oof. You know, really. So other than that, man, they're going to get that. They're going to get that together.
One positive though, no muff punts, which is something we had the first few weeks last year. We were complaining about no muff punts, and I'll say this: Richie James has balls of steel. There's multiple times that guy's coming right at him, no fair catch. He was taking and trying to get something with it, which I give him credit for trying to make something happen. Nothing did happen, but I give him credit for trying to make something happen.
Yeah, man, but that's a tough thing because if you know you got a guy who is balls back there who's going to get some chances, give him an opportunity, give him a chance. That's on all those guys that's doing the block. Give him a chance. And that's why when I be in meeting, that's why I would absolutely bring this up. Like, how are we not giving our guy a chance, you know, to make something happen? You know, special teams is absolutely one facet of what we do in football that you have to be good at. You just have to be. You have to contribute. And I didn't see no contribution there with that, man. So yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully, and that's one thing about the loss, start of the season with the loss. It's only happened one time in the Andy Reid Chiefs era. These guys are going to have some fire coming out against Jacksonville this coming weekend, a team who looked pretty solid against Indianapolis yesterday. Defense looked suspect yesterday, but that's something we'll get into on Wednesday.
Well, I'll say this, man. Look, you're looking at a whole different team, okay? You're looking at a whole different team with Jacksonville. And I'm going to say this. Look, and like I said, that's why I was like, with, Detroit coming in here. Okay. Look, we had two of our best guys out, and they still barely won. Let's just be honest here. So Dan and them didn't care who was playing. They don't care who it was. They just gonna come in here and try to, shock the world. Okay. I don't think it was as big as a shock as they made it be, or made it seem like. Not taking anything away from Detroit, because I think they did a good job. I told you Jared Goff had more confidence he's ever had. I said, man, I knew Dan Campbell was going to be whispering in his ear to get some things done. They didn't care who was playing. They didn't care about that. My thing, and I think we just look at maybe this right here, this first loss, first game, is a good place to start with some humble pie, okay? Not just with the players, but with the fans also too, okay? Because I just seen we high on our horse. We just, and it's, we don't want to be critical of our team and all those different things. They just didn't, offense of the game didn't play well, period. I still think we had a better team. That's what I think. But make no mistake about it. I don't think Detroit is in as far as one of the top teams in the NFL. I think they're somewhere mid. But this Jacksonville Jaguar team that we're gonna go play, it's a whole different ball game. Whole different ball game. I'm just telling you.
The real deal.
Absolutely. So
yeah. Their offense is going to be interesting to see how they match up against our defense this week, or how interesting it's going to see our defense match up against those guys. Because Calvin Ridley looked phenomenal. You and I said that we should have tried to trade for him 2 years ago when he got suspended. I mean, would have been nice.
Ridley, Etienne, Trevor Lawrence. I mean, you go down to Christian Kirk, Ingram, Zay Jones. They got weapons on that side. Then they got defensive side too. So it's gonna be different. It's significantly different.
I think it's gonna be a shootout because their defense yesterday looked kind of suspect against Indianapolis. Although it's first game of the season, so we'll see. Yeah. Before we head out of here, I want to go back to Kadarius Toney for a second. He's been such a big hot topic, obviously since last Thursday. And I know we're not placing blame on him specifically, although a lot of fans want to.
Yeah, so that's unfair. But go ahead.
It is very unfair. So PFF released their grades from that game, and Kadarius Toney had the lowest receiver grade in the last 5 years, based on his performance on Thursday. I've seen a bunch of different numbers here. Some stats have us that the team charging us with 5 drops. Kadarius Toney hit 2 of them. I saw another stat grade that has having 8 drops. 4 of them were charged to Kadarius Toney. But I don't know, anywhere between 4 and 2. 2 is too much. But the one interesting thing, I know we can crap on Kadarius Toney all day, but the one interesting thing here that not really getting talked about enough is the Next Gen Stats did a statistic this morning. They released that KT averaged 3.1 yards of separation on every route on Thursday night, which would have put him top 25 in the league this past weekend. Yeah. So this is interesting too. He averaged more yards of separation than Tyreek Hill did. And Tyreek Hill had an amazing game last night, which is interesting that this stat comes, but separation was a big deal for us on Thursday night. A lot of our guys, everyone said, why is Pat holding the ball so long? Because he was waiting for guys to get open and they weren't doing it. And he was one of the guys that did that. We also had another guy who got in the top 50 of average yard separation, was Rashee Rice, who you mentioned, who had 2.7 yards of separation on average on Thursday.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you about just overall KT. Do you think, I know there's a lot of talk in the offseason how Mahomes and the team feels like he could be the number 1 receiver with this team. Do you think that he could still be the legitimate number 1 receiver, or you just think that he's just another one of the guys that we have, a weapon that we have, not really necessarily the number 1?
I'll say yes. How about we just get KT healthy? Really. Because we go number 1. Look, he has all the, athletic ability in the world. to be that guy, to be a number one, okay, or number one, and 1A, 1B, whatever you want to call it. The thing is, he needs to be healthy, okay? It's the availability, and in this right here, having this whole, meniscus deal, set him back. And I think that's what it is we're talking about the availability. It's hard to become a number one if you're always hurt or you have, these lingering issues, okay? I feel for the guy. I want the guy to be successful. I really do, because I know he's a weapon. And I think, separation, everybody, you can figure different things out. PFF, they quantify every little thing. All right. What does that mean? Well, you could just say, KT is a pure receiver than Tyreek Hill. You could say that, right? Tyreek Hill uses pure speed. Okay. Does that mean anything? It doesn't mean anything if you don't catch the football. I don't care how much you separate. You could be 10 yards open. Doesn't matter, right? Rashee Rice dropped that one. It was wide open, and, he drops it. Doesn't matter. It's just about making plays. You got to make plays, pure and simple. This is what this business is about. The business is about making plays for you to be employed. So what have you done for me lately? And this is what the fans and everybody looking at what KT has done lately. My thing is let this guy get healthy, give him some rest that's needed. He comes back and he's healthy and plays, you're going to see a whole different Kadarius Toney.
Yeah. It's intriguing the fact that he's clearly not 100% right, but yet still averaging in the top 25 as far as yards separation per route. So that's intriguing. The guy's having health and he's still getting 3.1 yards separation on route run.
And he's got ability. He's got that quick twitch in him. He's got it in him, man. There's no doubt about that. So, hey, man, now we just get him healthy so he's fully comfortable, okay, so he can actually play the way he's capable of playing, all right? But I'm looking for the other younger bucks to get in and get some reps too. Rashee Rice, Justyn Ross, these guys in there as well, man. These guys in there well.
Our guy Justyn Ross got the only target of the game for him, but one catch, the little comeback route, like 6 yards. Yeah, I was excited. Yeah. I thought I was starting to get him more touches, but no, I think he only logged like 8 snaps in the game. So they're gonna get him more acclimated, hopefully.
And my eyes is like his sauces. I can see all of the receivers' eyes like that. Most of them. MVS only when I see him was like, hey man, it was whatever. Him and Justyn.
And he didn't get targeted enough. MVS didn't get targeted. 2 targets, 2 catches. That was it.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. Something's got to change about that. I don't know what's up. I don't know what's up with that one. But
yeah, too many just 9 routes. Guys exhausted. Just send him deep every time, running off as a defender.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that does it for us, guys. If you want to catch more of JD and I, you guys can go to us on Chief Concerns on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You guys can get us every week. We get 2 times a week during the season, and obviously we're going to do live streams with you guys all throughout the season. So we're really looking forward to continue to do this with Bleacher Report. But we'll be back with you guys Wednesday afternoon for a live stream to discuss this upcoming game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then, of course, you want more, JD and I will be doing a full preview of the game on our podcast and channel on YouTube. So Chief Concerns, you guys check us out. See you guys next time. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.